Just walking, working, sleeping, doing nothing else? Well, I guess that's pretty much all I usually have time for anyway. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about one of my life's biggest struggles, and that is being a book lover and trying to live sustainably at the same time. First though, if you are new here, be sure to take a second and subscribe down below to learn more about living sustainably. Books. I've always loved books. I was that weirdo kid who spent every single day of my summer in middle school sitting and reading a book to the point where I could almost read a book a day. One of my dreams has always been to have my own private library where I have books from floor to ceiling just everywhere. Which is why we have to face the unfortunate fact that books are not that great for the environment. First, they use so much paper, which is a big problem. A study in 2006 looking at the book industry for an entire year estimated that publishing consumed 30 million trees and had a carbon footprint equivalent to 12.4 million metric tons of CO2. And of course, a while back, we were introduced to an alternative to the physical paper books, and that was e-readers. But then of course we run into another problem. Making e-readers uses a lot of material, and it's pretty well known that e-waste is a big problem in the world. A New York Times study found that one e-reader requires the extraction of 33 pounds of minerals to make. Add on to that 79 gallons of water and 100 kilowatt hours of fossil fuels, all totaling 66 pounds of CO2 per e-reader that is made. So which is better? Buying a shelf of books or buying an e-reader that can hold all of my books but is very intensive to make? I think maybe a better question is, why should we limit ourselves to just these two options? I think we need to start thinking outside the box. The fact of the matter is, no matter how you consume written material, it's going to affect the environment negatively in some way. Whether it's the printed books, it's an e-reader, it's online, even audiobooks have their downfalls. So the best solution is to limit your impact in a couple of different ways. The much smarter solution to just limiting us to printed copies or e-readers is to find different alternatives and ultimately work to find the best way to limit our impact while still enjoying books. So finally today, I'm going to go over my personal book lover's guide to living sustainably. Tip number 1, consider audiobooks. At first, I thought audiobooks were kind of cheating, and then I got a free month subscription from a different YouTuber, and I got super into it. When you find a really great narrator, it can make the experience amazing, and it's like having your own personal storyteller. It's just really fun. You just gotta rethink the idea of audiobooks. Personally, I love to listen to audiobooks while I'm driving different places, and I specifically will look for audiobooks for new books that come out. And I will explain why in a little bit with a different tip. If you are unable to use audiobooks due to hearing problems, don't fret. There are still other alternatives, which now leads us into tip number 2, thrift shop for physical books. If you've ever been to a thrift shop, you will usually find they are filled with books, especially if you find a good one. This is a great place to find older versions of books that you'd like to read that you kind of missed out when they came out. Keep in mind, we have hundreds of years of written material, meaning we have millions of books out there, lots of different options. Just go to a thrift store and find one. I know one of the biggest issues people probably have with thrifted books is that they could be damaged, bent, whatever. Really, I think you should look past that and maybe think about it in a different way. When I see a damaged book, I think this book was loved. They read it, they loved it, maybe they shared it with a friend, maybe they shared it with family. The point is, this book was read and enjoyed by someone, and I really like to see that. Also, it's kind of fun to see people's little notes written in the margins. You can find some really interesting stuff. And honestly, seeing a book that was damaged and loved by someone is a lot better than seeing one that was never opened and was probably wasted. Tip number 3. Try your local library. Most libraries offer their cards for free, and this is a great option if you're not someone that, like me, who wants their own personal library. Most libraries have a great selection, and if not, we have modern technology, so you can usually have other local libraries in the area send in the books you want to read just by searching them up on your local library's computer. All you have to do is reserve it, it gets sent in, and there you go, you get a fresh, beautiful book to borrow. Tip number 4, go digital whenever you can. This means maybe reading a book online, purchasing the digital copy. This could mean getting an e-reader, and again, this could be audiobooks, getting an online subscription to newspaper rather than getting the physical copy, maybe getting into podcasts. There are lots of different ways online that you can get the stuff you want to read without getting a physical printed copy of it. And finally, tip number 5, just follow some simple, good shopping habits. If you don't need it, don't buy it. I have fallen into the habit of just buying a bunch of books and then not reading any of them. If you're going to spend money on a physical copy, make sure it's a book you really want to read, or if you buy the audio version, buy an e-reader and read your books that way, make sure you're actually using it and getting the full value out of it. If you have to buy the brand new physical copy of the brand new book that came out that's amazing, do it online. As much as I love places like Barnes & Noble and the small little bookstore on the corner, they're just not good for the environment because they often order more books than they need, throw a ton out, or they just sit there and don't get read at all. You can cut back on that by simply ordering directly online from the publisher or somewhere else. Another good tip is, instead of getting an e-reader, which is only dedicated to reading, get something that is multi-purpose. For example, I love my 2-in-1 laptop, so I can flip it around and make it a tablet if I want. It then becomes great to sit and read stuff on that tablet. I can easily highlight, write little notes on whatever I'm reading, whatever I need. And trust me, I'm often reading lots of articles and scientific journals, so having that ability to read is very useful while still having the laptop, which I use often in my daily life. And finally, one last bonus tip for you guys. That is, don't stop loving books. I see a lot of people struggle with living sustainably because they think they have to give a lot of things up, when in reality, we can find a way to create a balance without giving up a lot of things we love. Now, that doesn't mean you won't be giving up something. There are just some things in our lives that don't fit into a sustainable world. But I don't think books have to be one of them. We can find ways to enjoy reading and still have minimal impact on the environment. The truth is, most hobbies and things people love to do aren't good for the environment, but we can't easily ask people to give up part of their life like that, because we'd be living some pretty boring lives, just walking, working, sleeping, doing nothing else. Well, I guess that's pretty much all I usually have time for anyway. The point is, life would be boring. Rather than giving everything up, we need to find a way to live sustainably and find the best balance. And with these tips, hopefully you can learn to be a book lover, but still live as sustainably as possible. And that is all the time I have for today. Thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, leave a like down below so I know. And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe and join the journey to living more sustainably. If you'd like to keep up on my own journey to living more sustainably in between uploads, you can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.